In the town of Bikini Bottom, something unusual was brewing. SpongeBob SquarePants, the enthusiastic and optimistic sea sponge, lived his life flipping Krabby Patties at the Krusty Krab. Yet there was another topic that seemed to be increasingly whispered about but avoided in full conversation: Bruno. Bruno was a mysterious character that none dared to speak about openly. It wasn't for lack of trying, though. There were legends surrounding him, stories of strange phenomena and uncanny occurrences whenever his name was spoken aloud. Rumor had it Bruno once lived in the shadows of Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob, never one to shy away from an adventure, grew curious about this enigmatic figure. Secretly, he confided in his best friend Patrick Star, hoping to uncover the truth behind the mystery. "Why is everyone so afraid to talk about Bruno?" SpongeBob asked, his eyes wide with intrigue. Patrick shrugged, slightly confused but equally eager. "I don't know, SpongeBob, but maybe we should investigate," he suggested, trying to appear as if he knew more than he did. Together, they decided to embark on a journey to uncover the truth. Their first clue led them to Sandy Cheeks, the intrepid squirrel from Texas. Sandy, always interested in a good mystery herself, was thrilled to join the duo. She adjusted her helmet and said, "I've heard old tales that Bruno could predict things, bad things, but folks say it's coincidence." Undeterred by these ominous rumors, the trio proceeded to the outskirts of Bikini Bottom, where some believed Bruno used to reside. The ocean floor seemed to grow darker and the water thicker as they ventured further. Sandy's scientific equipment beeped erratically, signaling an anomaly in the environment. Suddenly, they stumbled upon a small shack, a relic of Bikini Bottom's past. It was barely visible among the seaweed and corals creeping over it. As they approached tentatively, SpongeBob knocked on the barnacle-covered door. To their surprise, the door creaked open, revealing not a ghostly figure, but a kindly elderly sea turtle. "Bruno? Why would anyone fear me?" The turtle chuckled. Bruno wasn't a sinister entity at all, just an elderly soul who loved listening to Bikini Bottom's tales and adding fanciful twists for fun. SpongeBob and friends laughed, realizing quickly how a grain of truth mixed with imagination had created a legend in their town. As they left Bruno's cozy shack, they promised to help spread the word and dispel the myths about the misunderstood sea turtle. Returning to Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob had a satisfied smile, knowing they'd uncovered more about friendship than mystery. In the bustling underwater city of Bikini Bottom, famed for its incredible sunsets and diverse sea creatures, an unexpected chain of events began at the beloved Krusty Krab. It all started on a seemingly normal Tuesday morning. SpongeBob SquarePants, the ever-enthusiastic and lively fry cook, was more excited than usual. A new recipe was about to unfold in the celebrated kitchen of the Krusty Krab, renamed for the day as the Crispy Krab, as part of a promotional event. Mr. Krabs, ever eager to maximize profits and attract customers with the allure of a novel dining experience, had tasked SpongeBob with creating the ultimate crispy treat. Patrick, SpongeBob's best friend and loyal sidekick, had been brought along for moral support. Inside the kitchen, SpongeBob's creativity flourished. He gathered ingredients with an animated fervor: fresh sea lettuce, pickles, and a secret blend of spices that no crustacean could resist. Plankton, the notorious antagonist, secretly observed from his hiding spot. As the day progressed, a line formed outside the Crispy Krab. Word had gotten around about the mysterious, crispy creation. The buzz was palpable. Within the kitchen, an unexpected occurrence unfolded as a puff of smoke erupted from the fryer. When the smoke cleared, SpongeBob, Patrick, and Mr. Krabs stood paralyzed, eyes wide as coins, at the sight of the irresistibly golden and tantalizingly crispy masterpiece. But something was amiss. The culinary wonder appeared to be sizzling with a life of its own. SpongeBob, with his boundless optimism, approached the situation with keen curiosity and declared, "It's alive, just like the first time I cooked a Krabby Patty." He quickly donned his spatula and chef hat in anticipation of an impromptu culinary adventure. Meanwhile, Plankton, who had seized the opportunity amid the chaos, attempted to snatch the living dish. However, in true Bikini Bottom fashion, the crispy creation proved more slippery than anticipated. With a single elegant leap, it dashed across the floor and sprung outside into the restaurant, where laughter and applause met its appearance. In the end, the infamous crispy creation became an unexpected icon of hospitality at the Crispy Krab. Plankton's plan was foiled once more, and SpongeBob's love for cooking shone brighter than ever before. In the underwater city of Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob SquarePants was cleaning his house with his usual enthusiasm when he came across an old photograph of himself grinning wide with his baby teeth showing. Reminiscing about the past, SpongeBob realized he had never lost his baby teeth, and thus had never been visited by the Tooth Fairy. His excitement grew as he imagined meeting such a legendary figure. Determined to experience the magic for himself, SpongeBob rushed out to the Krusty Krab to discuss his idea with his best friend Patrick Star. Patrick was lounging at the Krusty Krab, munching on a Krabby Patty, when SpongeBob burst in, explaining his plan to meet the Tooth Fairy by pulling out one of his baby teeth. Patrick, both intrigued and confused, readily agreed to help. The two friends plotted various ways to painlessly remove SpongeBob's tooth. They contemplated tying a string and attaching it to a jellyfishing net, but SpongeBob's flexible nature made it challenging. Eventually, Sandy Cheeks passed by and, intrigued by their antics, suggested the gentle method of wiggling the tooth naturally, which SpongeBob obliged to with new zeal. After a day of enthusiastic wiggling, SpongeBob's tooth was finally loose. That night, in his delightfully decorated pineapple home, he placed it under his pillow with giddiness. As he drifted into a deep ocean slumber, a faint sparkle shimmered above his bed. The Tooth Fairy, a small, iridescent fish with shimmering wings and a tiny crown, appeared from a swirl of sea bubbles. She inspected the environment, impressed by the colorful decor. Upon finding the shiny tooth under SpongeBob's pillow, she left a magical token, a glowing conch shell that played enchanting notes when held close. The next morning, SpongeBob awoke to find the luminous conch shell. Bubble-filled laughter echoed through the pineapple as he shared the treasure with Patrick. SpongeBob told the tale of his incredible encounter. The magic of meeting the Tooth Fairy sparked joy that flowed through all of Bikini Bottom. The story ignited the imagination of sea creatures who wondered if they, too, might meet the whimsical visitor someday. In the vibrant depths of the ocean, right beside Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob SquarePants faced an unexpected challenge. He had been invited by his friends, Sandy Cheeks and Patrick Star, to participate in the Oceanic Swimming Carnival, a renowned aquatic event celebrated yearly. Although SpongeBob had always been enthusiastic about trying new things, swimming competitively was entirely new to him. Sandy, ever the athlete, was prepared to dive in and show her skills, while Patrick, with his usual gung-ho attitude, was just excited about splashing around. SpongeBob, on the other hand, was a little apprehensive. He could certainly swim, but the thought of racing against fish and amphibious creatures filled him with a cocktail of excitement and nerves. The carnival day arrived, and the ocean was buzzing with anticipation. Various sea creatures had gathered, their vibrant colors shimmering under the sea light. The courses were marked with seaweed ribbons, and the audience was seated on coral bleachers. SpongeBob stood at the start of his heat, adjusting his swim cap, which oddly looked just like his usual square pants. As the whistle blew, competitors sprang into action with powerful strokes. SpongeBob flailed at first, his arms and legs moving chaotically. He glanced around, realizing how skilled and streamlined his fellow swimmers were. Then, he remembered Sandy's advice from the day before. Just go with the flow, SpongeBob. Relax and let your talents guide you. Taking a deep breath, SpongeBob started to relax. He pictured himself as a jellyfish floating effortlessly. His limbs moved in natural harmony with the water, his square form somehow gliding smoothly. As he found his rhythm, his confidence grew, and a wide smile spread across his face. SpongeBob didn't win that race, but his effort and spirit didn't go unnoticed. The crowd cheered loudly as he reached the finish line, and Sandy and Patrick were there waiting, proud of their friend's determination. SpongeBob realized that while competition was thrilling, the real joy lay in embracing new experiences and enjoying the journey alongside good friends. He might not have won the swimming medal, but he certainly earned a spot in everyone's heart for his enthusiasm and spirit.
Once upon a time, under the deep blue sea, in the lively town of Bikini Bottom, lived a cheerful yellow sea sponge named SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob worked at the Krusty Krab and loved going on adventures with his best friend, Patrick Star. One day, while flipping Krabby Patties, SpongeBob received a peculiar package. The package was from Sandy Cheeks, the intelligent squirrel who loved science and adventure just as much as SpongeBob. Inside the package was a shiny silver compass and a message that read, "Dear SpongeBob, I have invented a space rocket. Meet me at Jellyfish Fields. We are going on an adventure out of this world. Sandy." SpongeBob's eyes widened with excitement, and without wasting a second, he dashed to Patrick's rock house, waving the compass in the air. "Patrick, we've got to get to Jellyfish Fields. We're going to space," he exclaimed. Patrick, still half asleep, mumbled something about jelly beans, but quickly perked up when he heard the word space. Off they went, with their wide grins and boundless enthusiasm. At Jellyfish Fields, Sandy stood next to her gleaming rocket. "Welcome, space explorers," she cheered, handing them shiny silver suits and bubble-shaped helmets. The rocket, named Sea Explorer 1, was unlike anything they had ever seen. It had colorful fins, a big smiling face, and made cheerful pinging sounds as if it couldn't wait for the adventure. They boarded the rocket, with Sandy at the controls, SpongeBob as the excited crew, and Patrick as the snack officer in charge of space popcorn. With a loud whoosh, Sea Explorer 1 blasted off into space. Several star systems whizzed by, each glowing with vibrant colors. Once upon a time in the underwater city of Bikini Bottom, a sea sponge named SpongeBob SquarePants lived in a pineapple house. SpongeBob was an optimistic and cheerful sponge who worked at the Krusty Krab, a popular fast food restaurant famous for its delicious Krabby Patties. Every morning, SpongeBob would wake up with a big smile, don his iconic white chef's hat, and happily skip to work, humming his favorite jellyfishing song. At the Krusty Krab, the day's adventures would begin as Mr. Krabs, the owner of the restaurant, greeted SpongeBob with his booming voice, eager for another day of booming business. "Ahoy there, SpongeBob, ready to grill some Krabby Patties today?" "Aye aye, Captain Krabs," SpongeBob exclaimed with glee, flipping his spatula with the skill of a seasoned pro. SpongeBob's best friend, Patrick Star, a simple yet lovable pink starfish, often hung out at the Krusty Krab, hoping to get some of those mouth-watering Krabby Patties. Meanwhile, hiding in the shadows was Plankton, the tiny but evil owner of the Chum Bucket, who constantly plotted to steal the secret Krabby Patty formula. On this special day, SpongeBob decided to try a new twist while cooking the usual Krabby Patties. As he mixed the ingredients with utmost precision, his imagination soared. "What if," SpongeBob thought, "I add a hint of jellyfish jelly to the sauce?" He added a small dollop of purple jellyfish jelly and flipped the patties with extra care. As the patties sizzled on the grill, an enticing aroma filled the air, drawing curious customers from all over Bikini Bottom. Meanwhile, Plankton, peering through the window with his single eye, couldn't believe his luck. Eureka! A new recipe, he whispered to himself. Back inside, a wave of excitement swept through the restaurant as customers eagerly awaited the first taste of SpongeBob's new creation. Mr. Krabs rushed to the kitchen, dollar signs in his eyes. "Boy, what have you done? This smells amazing." SpongeBob simply grinned and continued his culinary magic. Just as he was about to serve the Krabby Patties, chaos erupted. Plankton, disguised as an ordinary customer, crawled unnoticed toward the secret formula locked in the safe. But just when he thought he had succeeded, Patrick, in his usual forgetful manner, tripped over Plankton, sending him flying across the room. "Nice try, Plankton," SpongeBob chuckled, quickly sealing the secret formula back in its rightful place. Finally, the patrons tasted the Krabby Patties with the jellyfish jelly twist.
Minions lived joyfully in their colorful village. One day, the curious minion, Bob, found a mysterious map. Kevin and Stuart joined Bob on his exciting adventure. The map led them to an ancient hidden cave. Inside, they discovered sparkling treasures and glittering jewels. Mischievous minions set off too many traps accidentally. They tumbled, dodged, and laughed their way through. Kevin found a puzzle that sparked his curiosity. Stuart spotted a shiny scepter that glowed magically. Bob bravely led them deeper into the cave. Suddenly, they stumbled upon a sleeping dragon. The dragon awoke, yawned, and didn't seem hostile. Bob offered the dragon a banana, making it smile. The dragon gifted them a golden, magical amulet. Minions returned home, wearing the amulet joyfully. Their adventure became legendary in the village. The sun shone brightly as the minions prepared for their picnic. Kevin, dressed in a chef's hat, packed sandwiches. Bob, the smallest, danced around with a basket of fruits. Stuart, with his guitar, planned to serenade them by the river. They piled into a van, singing loudly with excitement. As they reached the park, a gust of wind whisked Kevin's hat away. Chasing it, Kevin stumbled into a mud puddle, causing laughter. Bob giggled, helping Kevin up, and they found the hat. Stuart played a cheerful tune as they laid out the blanket. They feasted on sandwiches, fruits, and a surprise cake. Suddenly, a bee hovered around, eyeing their sweets. In a frenzy, they waved it away, tripping over each other. Giggles echoed as they finally managed to shoo the bee. At sunset, they watched the sky turn a warm orange hue. Content and filled with joy, they packed up their things. Driving home, they sang, planning their next minion adventure.
Once upon a time in the peaceful Valley of Peace, there lived a panda named Puh, who was not just any panda. He was the legendary dragon warrior, known for his love of kung fu and dumplings. But one day, Poe's peaceful life was turned upside down when news spread that an evil villain, Cam Young the Snow Leopard, was planning to take over the city of Panda Town. Cam Young had trained in dark kung fu magic and gathered an army of mischievous marmots to assist him in his wicked plan. Poe knew he had to act quickly to save the city he loved. He gathered his close friends, the Furious Five, who were master kung fu fighters: Tigress, Monkey, Crane, Viper, and Mantis. Together, they formed a team ready to face any challenge. Master Sherfu, Poe's wise teacher, gathered them and devised a plan. Cam Young seeks the ancient golden scroll, hidden in the Temple of Tranquility, Master Sherfu explained. Whoever possesses the scroll gains immense power. We must stop Cam Young before he finds it. Poe and his friends set out on their journey to the Temple of Tranquility, battling treacherous paths and solving riddles along the way. They traveled through the whispering woods, where the trees spoke in cryptic rhymes, and across the thunderous river, whose waters roared like a dragon. Each of these challenges tested their skills and teamwork, but with determination and friendship, they conquered them all. As they approached the temple, they found Cam Young and his marmot army blocking their way. Cam Young sneered, "You are too late, Dragon Warrior. The golden scroll will be mine and Panda Town will bow to me." Puh, filled with courage and confidence, exclaimed, "Evil will never prevail, Cam Young. We will protect our friends and city." A fierce battle ensued. The Furious Five fought bravely, each showcasing their unique kung fu abilities, while Pa focused on reaching the golden scroll before Cam Young. Using his quick reflexes and deep love for kung fu, Pa managed to outsmart Cam Young. With a swift move, he reached the temple's altar and grabbed the golden scroll, holding it up to defend what was right. Enraged, Cam Young tried to use his dark magic, but Pa, with his heart full of hope and joy, reflected the evil spell back at him with the power of the scroll. Cam Young was defeated, and his marmot army retreated in fear. Peace was restored to the valley, and Panda Town celebrated Pooh and the Furious Five as heroes. Pa learned that true strength comes from believing in oneself, and the power of friendship. With Panda Town safe once more, Pooh and his friends returned to their home, grateful for the bonds they forged and the journey they shared. And so, Pa the Dragon Warrior continued to love kung fu, dumplings, and the laughter of his joyful friends, always ready for the next adventure that awaited. Once upon a time, in the lovely town of Adventure Bay, the citizens were eagerly preparing for their annual Thanksgiving parade. People from all around were bustling with excitement, stringing lights, hanging garlands, and setting up colorful floats. Among the inhabitants, the heroic pups of the Paw Patrol were happily assisting with the preparations. But one special pup, Rocky, had a unique mission this year. Rocky, the recycling pup who loved to reuse and reinvent things, had been tasked with creating a giant centerpiece for the main float. He had been gathering bits and bobs from around the town for weeks, and had an amazing idea to transform them into a spectacular turkey sculpture. As the sun rose on the day of the parade, everything seemed perfect. Families lined the streets, music played joyously, and the air was filled with the delicious aroma of pumpkin pies and roasted nuts. But suddenly, a loud clatter echoed through Main Street. "Oh no!" cried Mayor Goodway, waving frantically as she ran towards the pups. "The center float's engine has broken down, and we can't continue the parade without it. What will we do?" Without missing a beat, the Paw Patrol sprang into action. Chase alerted the rest of the pups with his loudspeaker. Sky flew overhead, assessing the situation from the sky, and Rubble brought his tools and digging gear. However, it was Rocky who had the perfect plan. "Don't lose it, reuse it," he barked confidently, looking at the various gadgets he had collected. With the help of Ryder, their young and inventive leader, Rocky began tinkering away. Using some old bicycle gears, leftover metal pipes, and an unused motor from an old lawnmower, Rocky skillfully crafted a makeshift engine. The other pups watched in awe as the new contraption came to life with a sputter, then a steady hum. The small crowd gathered around erupted in cheers as Rocky and Ryder fitted the homemade engine to the float. With a few tweaks and a little puppy power, the Grand Turkey Float was ready to roll once again. The parade continued smoothly, winding its way through Adventure Bay, spreading joy and festivity. The citizens waved flags, children laughed, and everyone felt grateful for the resourcefulness and can-do spirit of the Paw Patrol. As the parade reached the big square, Mayor Goodway stood proudly on the main float, thanking all the pups, especially Rocky, for saving the day. "Thanks to you, our Thanksgiving is brighter than ever," she exclaimed, her voice filled with gratitude. The adventure ended with a grand feast at the town hall, where everyone shared stories and delicious treats. And as the sun set over Adventure Bay, Rocky and his friends gathered close, happy to have been a part of something so special. Once again, The day was saved by the incredible teamwork and ingenuity of the Paw Patrol, proving that with a bit of creativity, nothing is impossible. Grizzly, Panda, and Ice Bear were excited for a log ride adventure. They are three bear brothers, always eager for a new experience. Grizzly was the oldest, with boundless enthusiasm and energy. Panda, the middle brother, loved taking selfies and being online. Ice Bear, the youngest, was silent but always ready to help. The bears reached the amusement park, an exciting world of fun. There was one ride they couldn't resist, the wild water log ride. Grizzly was pumped. "It's going to be awesome," he exclaimed. Panda was a bit nervous. "What if my phone gets wet?" Ice Bear handed Panda a waterproof pouch. "Phone safe," he said. With courage, they climbed into the log, ready for adventure. The ride started slow, with beautiful sights and gentle streams. Suddenly, they plunged into a rushing waterfall. "Whoa!" Grizzly shouted, clinging to the log with excitement. Panda held his pouch. "This is intense but awesome." After twists and turns, they safely splashed to the end. Exhilarated, the brothers agreed, "Best ride ever." In the lush and lively forest of Sherwood, where the trees sway in a dance to the tunes of the wind, lived a group of merry folks led by Robin Hood. Robin, known far and wide for his bravery and compassion, was a hero who took from the rich and gave to the poor. He was a man with a twinkle in his eye and a heart as big as the forest itself. His band was made up of loyal friends. Little John, who wasn't little at all and had muscles like tree trunks, Friar Tuck, a jolly fellow with a fondness for food and a heart full of kindness. Maid Marian, whose beauty was matched only by her cleverness, and the mischievous Will Scarlet, whose quick fingers always found what he needed. Together, they formed a team unlike any other, living in the forest, always on the lookout for the Sheriff of Nottingham, who constantly plotted to capture Robin and his friends. One sunny day, as the birds tweeted merrily and the sun bathed the forest in golden light, Robin Hood gathered his friends in their secret camp. "Friends," he said, "the rich merchant Haywood is traveling through Sherwood today, and he carries heavy bags of gold that could feed our good villagers. Let's pay him a friendly visit, shall we?" Little John laughed, and even Friar Tuck dropped his loaf of bread to join in the chuckles. Quietly, the band made their way through the whispering oaks and giggling streams to the merchant's path. They found the merchant riding tall on his grand horse, with his bags of gold gleaming in the sunlight. Robin stepped forward with a wave and a smile. "Good day, Master Haywood. Might we spare a moment of your time?" The merchant, taken aback, nodded nervously. Then, with charm and grace, Robin explained how these coins could help fill the villagers' bowls and mend their thatched roofs. Eventually, the merchant agreed, for he couldn't resist the persuasive Robin, and knew he'd be well remembered by those he helped. Once upon a time, in the heart of the deep, dark jungle, there lived a young boy named Mowgli. Raised by a family of wolves, Mowgli was no ordinary boy. He had learned the ways of the jungle from Baloo, the bear, and Bagheera, the sleek panther. Together, they taught him everything he needed to know about living in the wild. Mowgli loved his jungle home, where every tree had a story to tell. His days were filled with adventure, from swinging on vines with the monkeys to learning to swim with the river otters. But among all the creatures, it was Baloo who became his closest friend. Baloo always reminded Mowgli of the bare necessities of life, to find happiness in simple things, to be lighthearted, and to enjoy the moment. However, the jungle wasn't all play and fun. There lurked Shere Khan, the fierce tiger, who despised humans and saw Mowgli as an intruder in his territory. One day, while playing a game of hide and seek, Mowgli stumbled too close to Shere Khan's lair. The tiger let out a terrifying roar, and began to chase Mowgli through the tangled vines and thick foliage. With his heart pounding, Mowgli ran as fast as his legs could carry him. He zigzagged through the jungle, calling out for help. His cries were heard by Bagheera, who swiftly guided Mowgli to a secret path leading to safety. Once away from danger, Baloo and Bagheera gathered around Mowgli, scolding him gently for his recklessness while also applauding his bravery. "Remember, Mowgli, the jungle is beautiful, but also full of hidden dangers," Bagheera cautioned. That night, as they settled by the warm glow of a fire, Mowgli understood the importance of caution and respect for every creature in the jungle. With his friends by his side, he knew he would always have the courage to face any challenge. And so, Mowgli's days in the jungle continued, filled with laughter, learning, and the love he shared with his jungle family. Together, they lived in harmony with the rhythms of the jungle, creating new adventures every day. And though he was a human child, Mowgli would always be, at heart, a child of the jungle. Once upon a time, in a meadow blooming with colorful wildflowers, lived a little black sheep named Timmy. Timmy was not just any ordinary sheep. He was a sheep with a heap of dreams. Unlike his woolly friends who loved to graze all day long, Timmy had a passion for building things. With his little toolbox strapped to his back, he would wander the meadow, gathering twigs, rocks, and leaves to create his marvelous inventions. Though the other sheep found Timmy's fascination with building rather odd, they were fond of his cheery spirit and intriguing creations. One sunny morning, while the sun was still a soft glow on the horizon, Timmy decided to construct his most ambitious project yet, a treehouse atop the big oak in the middle of the meadow. Armed with his trusty hammer and a fresh bundle of twine, he set off towards the majestic tree. Halfway there, Timmy encountered his friend Bella, the brown squirrel, who was nibbling on a nut. "Good morning, Timmy," chirped Bella. "What are you building today?" "I'm going to build a treehouse," Timmy bleated excitedly. "Oh, that sounds wonderful. Can I help?" asked Bella with twinkling eyes. Timmy nodded. Of course, the more help the merrier. Together, they began hauling materials up the tree. Bella was quick and agile, scampering up and down, passing branches and nails to Timmy, who worked diligently with his hammer. As the hours passed, they were joined by other friends. Rudy the rabbit hopped over to lend his strong paws for support, and Penny the peacock offered her vibrant feathers to decorate the structure, bringing along a splash of color and charm. The little meadow buzzed with excitement, as all the friends contributed in various ways. Some carried twigs, others fetched pebbles, and some simply cheered eagerly, inspiring Timmy and his team to keep going. With each nail tapped and each knot tied, the treehouse began to take form, a testament to teamwork and Timmy's visionary dream. As the sun started to dip below the hills, casting a warm orange hue across the sky, the final piece was put into place. The treehouse stood gloriously amidst the branches, a wooden haven overlooking the blooming pasture. The friends gathered beneath it, staring up with awe and pride. "We did it!" cheered Timmy, his eyes sparkling with joy. The friends giggled and hugged, celebrating their hard work. To further mark the occasion, the friends decided to host a sleepover in their brand new treehouse. As night fell, they gathered soft moss and leaves to make cozy beds. Bella told stories, while Penny fluffed their leafy pillows with her feathers. Rudy organized a small feast of carrots, nuts, and grains, and soon the treehouse was filled with laughter and the gentle glow of moonlight. That night, as Timmy lay in the wee house he had built with his friends, he realized the most precious thing he had constructed was not the treehouse, but the memories and friendships forged in making it. And so, in the peaceful meadow, the little black sheep who loved to build slept soundly, dreaming of even greater adventures and heartwarming creations yet to come. And everyone lived happily ever after, always ready for the next dream to turn into reality. Once upon a time, in the city of London, lived 3 children named Wendy, John, and Michael Darling. They lived in a cozy home with their parents, Mr. and Mrs. Darling, and a loving yet amusing nanny dog named Nana. One magical night, as they were dreaming of pirates, fairies, and faraway adventures, something extraordinary happened. A shimmering glow appeared outside their nursery window, followed by the mysterious figure of a boy. This boy was none other than Peter Pan, the mischievous and adventurous spirit from the magical land of Neverland. Peter had come to take these children on an unforgettable adventure. Accompanying Peter was Tinker Bell, a tiny fairy who sparkled like 1,000 stars. With a sprinkle of her enchanted pixie dust, the children discovered they could fly. Up into the night sky, they soared over the city rooftops, giggling with excitement and wonder. "Where are we going, Peter?" asked Wendy, her wide eyes twinkling with curiosity. "To Neverland," Peter exclaimed, "where you never grow up, and the adventures never end." Soon, they reached the wondrous island of Neverland, a place filled with dense jungles, tinkling brooks, and the songs of mysterious creatures. It was also the home of the Lost Boys, who greeted Peter with cheers and laughter. Wendy became a motherly figure to the Lost Boys, telling them stories and singing songs, while John and Michael joined in their escapades. They encountered the mermaids of the lagoon, playful as the waves, and befriended the brave tiger Lily and her tribe. But in Neverland, danger always lurked around the corner. The nefarious Captain Hook, a fearsome pirate with a hook for a hand, plotted to capture Peter Pan. Hook was notorious for his grudges, especially after losing his hand to a ticking crocodile. One day, a terrible clash occurred between Peter Pan and Captain Hook aboard the pirate ship, the Jolly Roger. Swords clashed and tension filled the air, as Hook's pirates tried to capture Peter and his friends. However, Peter was clever and agile, outsmarting the pirates at every turn. With the help of the children, Tinker Bell's clever distractions, and the unexpected appearance of the crocodile, the children triumphed over Hook. The crocodile, enticed by the sound of a ticking clock, chased Hook away until he was out of sight. With peace restored to Neverland, the children enjoyed many more adventures, but eventually, they began to miss their home and parents. Peter, understanding their heart's desires, guided them back to London, and though Peter Pan flew back to Neverland, promising to return one day, the darling children never forgot their enchanted adventure. They cherished the memories of Neverland forever, knowing that the spirit of youth and imagination would stay with them always. And so, with pixie dust in their hearts, they grew up with the stories of Peter Pan, believing that anything is possible if you just dare to dream. And if you listen closely, you might hear the distant laughter of Peter Pan carried by the wind. For in each child's heart lies a bit of Neverland, where magic and adventures never truly fade away. Once upon a time, in the lush green forest of Everpine, lived a friendly bear named Benny. Benny was a gentle giant with a fluffy coat and a big heart. He loved honey more than anything in the world. Every morning, with the sun's first rays filtering through the tall pines, Benny would set out on his quest to find the sweetest honey. One fine day, as Benny was wandering by the great river, he stumbled upon a tree buzzing with excitement. A swarm of bees had built their hive high above, and the sight was a delight to Benny's eyes. "Ah, the bees must have the sweetest honey," he thought, and sat below, patiently waiting for his chance to savor the golden treat. Among the busy bees was a little bee named Bella. She was small but had the courage of a lion. Bella noticed Benny sitting below their hive, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. At first she was apprehensive. "What if Benny tries to take all our honey?" she buzzed to her friends. But curiosity got the better of her. "Hello there, bear. What brings you to our hive?" Bella buzzed bravely, as she flew down to face the bear. "Oh, little bee, I am Benny, and I couldn't resist the sweet scent of your honey," Benny replied with a gentle smile. "Would you be kind enough to share just a little with a honey-loving bear like me?" Bella fluttered her wings, pondering. She knew how hard all the bees worked to produce the honey, but seeing how politely Benny had asked, an idea sparked in her tiny mind. I have a proposal, Benny, Bella began. We will share our honey with you, but only if you promise to help protect our hive from any danger. It takes hard work to make all this honey, and we could use a strong friend like you. Benny's eyes twinkled with joy. Oh, I would love to be your protector. I promise to guard your hive with all my might, he vowed. And so a sweet friendship was formed. Benny the bear stood as the faithful guardian of the hive. He chased away hungry creatures, and even patrolled during the nights, ensuring the bees were safe. In return, the bees were generous, sharing the honey with Benny regularly. With each passing day, the bond between Benny and Bella grew stronger. Together, they showed everyone in the forest that sometimes, the most unlikely friendships are the sweetest. From that day on, Benny and the bees lived in harmony, proving that kindness and cooperation make the world a sweeter place. And Benny learned that while honey was indeed delicious, the friendships he fostered tasted even better. Once upon a time in the bustling little town of Adventure Bay, trouble was brewing again. The sunny skies and rolling hills were usually a place of peace, but today they were filled with excitement. The phone at the lookout, where the team of brave pups known as the Paw Patrol reside, was ringing urgently. Ryder, their young and fearless leader, answered it immediately. Hello, Mayor Goodway. What seems to be the problem today? He asked cheerfully. It turns out that Mayor Goodway was rather frantic. Oh, Ryder, Chicoletta, my beloved chicken, decided to have an adventure of her own, and has wandered onto the Speedway. The Speedway was a busy racetrack where exciting races took place. Today, it was bustling with racers preparing for the big Heatwave Challenge. The Paw Patrol knew they had to act quickly to save Chicoletta from the racing cars zooming around. No job is too big, no pup is too small. Paw Patrol is on a roll. Boula de Clit. He gathered the team together: Chase, Marshall, Sky, Rubble, Rocky, Zuma, and the new pup Speedy. Alright pups, Chicoletta is on the Speedway, and we need to get her to safety. Sky, I need you to fly above the track and keep an eye on Chicoletta. Marshall, ready your fire truck, just in case we need extra help off the track. Speedy, use your race car to get to Chicoletta quickly. Everyone else, direct the arriving vehicles to make sure the track is clear. Let's move, Paw Patrol. They all woofed in agreement and zoomed to the Speedway in their trucks and vehicles. Sky took to the skies in her helicopter, quickly spotting Chicoletta. I see her, Sky reported through the Pup Pad communicator. She's near pit stop 3. Speedy, thrilled to use his brand new wheels, zoomed ahead, dodging between parked racer cars. As he neared Chicoletta, he slowed down, gently maneuvering so he wouldn't scare her. Alright, little chick, time to get you back to safety, Speedy said, wagging his tail. With a clever idea, Speedy placed a breadcrumb trail leading away from the track and onto the safety of the grass where the other pups were waiting. Chicoletta, spotting the breadcrumbs, clucked happily and followed the trail away from the roaring engines. Once she was safely off the track, Mayor Goodway scooped her up with a sigh of relief. Oh, thank you, Paw Patrol. You have done it again, she exclaimed. The pups wagged their tails, thrilled to have completed another successful rescue without a hitch. We're just glad to help, Mayor, Ryder said, as the Paw Patrol gathered around for their traditional high-five celebration. With Chicoletta safe and the racetrack cleared, thanks to the teamwork and the quick thinking of the Paw Patrol, Adventure Bay was peaceful once more, at least until the next adventure. Tom the hungry cat chases Jerry the smart mouse. Jerry always finds clever ways to escape. Tom sets traps, but they backfire hilariously. Jerry uses cheese to trick Tom often. Sometimes Jerry even helps Tom in danger. Spike, the dog, dislikes Tom chasing Jerry. Spike protects Jerry and warns Tom menacingly. Tom often ends up in funny, painful situations. Each chase leads to unpredictable, funny outcomes. Tom never catches Jerry, but never stops trying. They both seem to enjoy their endless game. Their adventures teach friendship and resilience. Kids love their funny silent battles. Chaos and laughter fill each episode. Tom and Jerry's bond is timeless and entertaining. Tom was now a professor, wearing glasses and a smart suit. Jerry, the mischievous mouse, loved to tease Professor Tom. One morning, Tom was scribbling equations on the chalkboard. Jerry sneaked in quietly, carrying a tiny piece of chalk. He added funny doodles to Tom's mathematical masterpieces. Tom turned around, and his glasses fell down in shock. "Oh, Jerry," he exclaimed, chasing the little mouse. Jerry giggled, hiding behind a pile of books nearby. Tom tried to catch him, but tripped over his own papers. The classroom echoed with Jerry's laughter and Tom's sighs. Tom then came up with a clever plan to catch Jerry. He set up a mini trap using a piece of cheese. Jerry, ever curious, sniffed the cheese intrigued. Suddenly the trap closed, but Jerry escaped easily. Tom chuckled, realizing the futility in catching Jerry. In truth, he secretly enjoyed the playful rivalry. Cleo the cat loved mysteries and cookies. Rudy the dog, her faithful sidekick, loved adventure. One day, all the cookies went missing. An urgent mission: find the missing cookies. Cleo and Rudy began their detective work. First, they questioned Benny, the wise old owl. "I saw the fox running," Benny hooted wisely. Rudy wagged his tail, excited by the clue. Next, they interviewed Daisy, the playful squirrel. "I've been too busy gathering acorns to notice," Daisy chattered. Cleo, pondering, suspected something more mysterious. Then they questioned Max, the lazy rabbit. "I heard rustling in the bushes," Max yawned sleepily. They followed the trail to the park. A huge cookie crumb trail led to a surprise. The cookies were with a raccoon enjoying a picnic. Mr. Green Bean was a friendly green bean. He lived in a colorful vegetable garden. Every day, he explored the garden. One sunny morning, he found a treasure map. "This will be fun," he said excitedly. Hopping with joy, he decided to follow it. First, he passed the tall, waving sunflowers. Next, he crossed a shiny, bubbling stream. The map led him to a mysterious cave. Inside, the cave was dark and chilly. "Hello," Mr. Green Bean whispered nervously. Suddenly, a friendly bat appeared and smiled. "I can help," said the bat cheerfully. Together, they found the hidden treasure chest. Inside, they discovered seeds of friendship. Mr. Green Bean learned adventures are best shared. Flick, a young dragon, was nervous about flying. His friends, a rabbit, an owl, and a fox, noticed. The rabbit said, "Just hop high and flap." The owl advised, "Wings out, fly in the moonlight." The fox grinned, "Dash like me, then leap." Flick flapped his wings cautiously. He wobbled, but his friends cheered him on. "Try again. You're almost flying," they encouraged. Flick took a deep breath, feeling their support. He flapped with all his might. Suddenly, Flick rose into the sky. The friends below clapped and danced with joy. Flick soared higher, feeling brave and free. "I'm flying," he shouted, full of excitement. They celebrated Flick's bravery and courage together. Friendship and encouragement helped Flick's first flight. Sammy Squirrel lost his precious acorn in the forest. His friends Ricky Raccoon, Benny Bird, and Rosie Rabbit offered help. The friends decided to search every corner of the forest together. Ricky Raccoon found a trail of small acorn crumbs. They followed the crumb trail towards the sparkling stream. At the stream, Benny Bird spotted a shiny scales pattern. "That's Fishy Fish's home," Rosie Rabbit exclaimed with excitement. Fishy Fish acknowledged seeing an acorn drop in the stream. "Old Owl might have seen the direction," suggested Fishy Fish. They hurried to the wise Old Owl's towering oak tree. Old Owl pointed them towards the sunny meadow nearby. In the meadow, the friends found flowers with missing petals. A curious caterpillar told them about the mischievous wind. The wind confessed blowing the acorn to the pine tree. Reaching the pine tree, Sammy's acorn was found safe and sound. Together, they celebrated their teamwork and the power of friendship. A little bunny named Bella loved adventures. Her friend Finn the Fox always followed. One day, they found a rainbow balloon. "Let's go for a ride," said Bella excitedly. The balloon lifted them high into the sky. First stop, the red land of fiery mountains. They found a sparkling red stone there. Next, orange land, shimmering with bright lights. They collected a sweet orange fruit. Yellow land greeted them with sunshine fields. A golden feather floated into Bella's hands. In green land, tall trees whispered softly. They picked fresh green leaves as souvenirs. Blue land was full of dancing raindrops. Finn caught a tiny blue droplet jewel. Indigo clouds swirled around in Indigo land. Fluffy the sheep planned a garden party for her friends. She's cheerful and loves gathering with everyone. She sent invites to all her animal friends. Bella the bunny brought colorful, sparkly balloons. Tim the turtle arrived with delicious sandwiches. Ravi the raccoon brought shiny, twinkling lights. Sam the squirrel carried a basket of tasty nuts. The garden looked magical with vibrant colors. A sudden gust of wind scattered everything. Decorations and treats blew all over the garden. Fluffy quickly rallied her friends to help. They worked together, laughing and chatting. Friends gathered all the scattered items happily. The party was back on track, looking splendid. Everyone danced and sang under the lights. Fluffy smiled, knowing friendship saved the day. Baba Black Sheep lived on a sunny farm. He was the happiest sheep in the meadow. Baba was known for his fluffy black wool. One day, Baba wanted to explore the farm. He spotted colorful butterflies fluttering around. Baba tried to catch them, but they flew away. Next, Baba found a patch of bouncy grass. He hopped around joyfully, feeling like a rabbit. Baba's best friend, Daisy the duck, joined him. Together, they waddled to the sparkling stream. Baba made a splash in the water with Daisy. Suddenly, they heard Farmer Joe calling them. It was time for afternoon snacks, Baba's favorite. Baba nibbled on sweet clover as he listened. With a full belly, he lay under the big oak. Each day was an adventure for Baba Black Sheep. Puppy, Kitten, and Hedgehog planned a picnic in the forest. They danced with joy, carrying a basket of treats. Suddenly, they noticed their picnic basket was missing. "Let's find it," said Puppy, wagging his tail eagerly. Kitten sniffed the air, spotting a trail of breadcrumbs. Hedgehog, small but clever, led the way carefully. They followed the clues, making their way through trees. A squirrel joined them, nibbling on an acorn. "Hello, can you help us?" Hedgehog asked politely. Squirrel pointed to a path where he saw a fox. Together, they found Fox with the basket by a brook. Fox was sorry, he wanted to share a meal too. The friends invited Fox, and they all shared the treats. They laughed, played, and made new forest friends. Their picnic became a delightful forest feast. Puppy, kitten, and hedgehog learned sharing is caring. A sly fox wandered the enchanted forest with magical glowing trees. In the branches, a crow with stunning iridescent feathers clutched a golden cheese. The fox, eyes gleaming with mischief, gazed hungrily at the cheese. "Enchanting crow," the fox said, "your voice must be as great as your beauty." The crow, flattered, decided to sing, dropping the cheese from her beak. Before it could hit the ground, the fox caught it with a triumphant grin. As the fox devoured the cheese, the crow realized her error, sighing. The crow learned to be wary of flattery and keep her treasure safe. The fox skipped away, the cheese filling her with magical energy. The forest sparkled, witnessing another day of magic and clever deception. The fox's cheeky laughter echoed, a reminder of the enchanted tale. Above, moonlit clouds drifted, casting ethereal shadows in the enchanted forest. The crow regained her composure, joining her friends under the starlit canopy. With wisdom gained, the crow shared her story with chirps and whistles. The magical forest stood still, holding secrets of foxes and crows. A lesson learned amidst the marvel, the forest forever enchanted and alive.
Meet Alex the alligator, dancing through the ABC jungle path. Bright blue butterflies flutter around, singing the letter B. Curious cats chase colorful kites, capturing the letter C. Daisy the dinosaur roars delightfully, displaying the letter D. Energetic elephants splash in excitement, emphasizing the letter E. Frogs flip and flop, finding friendship with the letter F. Giggling gorillas groove gleefully, grasping the letter G. Happy hippos hop around, highlighting the letter H. Inquisitive iguanas investigate the interesting island, introducing I. Jumping jellyfish join the joyful journey, jiggling with J. Kites soar kindly, kissed by the wind, carrying K. Lovely lions lounge lazily, listening to the letter L. Merry monkeys mimic melodies, making music with M. Nimble newts navigate nearby nests, noting N. Owls observe the ocean, offering O, the opportunity. Playful pandas perform pirouettes, presenting P with pride.
Once upon a time, in a cozy little town nestled between rolling hills and singing rivers, lived two brothers named Vlad and Nikita. They were inseparable, sharing everything from toys to adventures. One sunny afternoon, with the sky painted a bright, cheerful blue, the brothers decided to embark on a new escapade in the lush, mysterious forest that bordered their backyard. "Let's find the legendary whispering tree," exclaimed Nikita, his eyes twinkling with excitement. According to tales whispered among the townsfolk, the whispering tree was a magical tree that granted wishes to those who could find it and listen to its stories. Equipped with a map, which was really just a crumpled page from their storybook, and a backpack full of snacks, the brothers set off. Their path was filled with delightful surprises. They skipped over babbling brooks that glistened like diamonds and climbed over rocks that looked like ancient castles. As they ventured deeper into the woods, a gentle breeze carried the sound of a melody, sweet and alluring. "Do you hear that?" asked Vlad, pausing beneath a canopy of rustling leaves. "It's the tree calling us," Nikita declared, bounding forward. The brothers followed the music, which seemed to dance through the air, leading them to a grand oak standing majestically in a sunlit clearing. The tree was draped in vines and flowers that sparkled like morning dew. As they drew near, the tree began to speak in a voice soft as a lullaby, sharing tales of brave knights and cunning foxes, each story more captivating than the last. "Make a wish, dear children," the tree whispered, its leaves rustling kindly. Vlad wished for endless adventures, while Nikita wished for the happiness of his family. Once upon a time, in the shimmering green waters of the river Giggledoo, there lived a big, silly crocodile named Crunchy. Crunchy wasn't like other crocodiles. He had a peculiar habit of wearing a hat, a bright, striped sun hat that he found floating on a particularly sunny day. The hat made him feel dapper, and with it on, he couldn't help but perform silly antics that made the other animals laugh. Crunchy loved to sing, dance, and play pranks on his friends. He wiggled his tail in such a funny way that made the fish giggle and the frogs croak in delight. But one day, a grumpy stork named Mr. Beakley, who lived by the riverbank, had enough of Crunchy's silliness. "This is a river, not a circus, Crunchy," Mr. Beakley squawked as he fluffed his feathers. "You should act like a proper crocodile." The other animals were quite fond of Crunchy's antics, though, and didn't want him to change. There was Flippy the fish, who swam circles of joy whenever she saw him, and Hoots the wise old owl, who came up with a plan to teach Mr. Beakley a lesson. One starlit night, Hoots gathered the animals for a meeting. "If we can show Mr. Beakley why we love Crunchy's silliness, maybe he'll understand," said Hoots, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. The next day, just as the golden sun peeked over the horizon, Crunchy started his performance. He flopped on his back, spinning around with his hat perched just so on his snout. Hoots gave the signal, and all the animals joined in. Flippy did her most amazing underwater ballet, shimmering with bubbles, while the frogs tapped their feet in rhythm. Even the stork couldn't help but watch, albeit reluctantly. As the performance went on, something surprising happened. A smile started to creep across Mr. Beakley's usually stern face. He found himself tapping his foot to the beat. Finally, the animals stopped, and with a little bow, Crunchy said, "You see, Mr. Beakley, being silly brings us joy. The river is happier when we laugh and play." Mr. Beakley paused for a moment, then nodded. "I suppose a bit of laughter is good for the soul," he admitted, chuckling softly. "But let's not forget how to fish as well." The animals all cheered, and Crunchy wiggled happily in his striped hat. From that day on, the river Giggledoo was known for its laughter as much as its shimmering waters. In a quiet corner of the jungle, where the sun filtered softly through the canopy above, lived a mighty lion named Leo. Leo, with his golden mane and commanding presence, was known as the king of the jungle. Yet beneath his powerful exterior, Leo had a kind heart. One day, while resting near a sparkling stream, he felt an unexpected tickle on his paw. Much to his surprise, it was a tiny mouse, scurrying about, seemingly unaware of the giant presence nearby. The mouse paused, its twitching nose and wide-eyed expression revealing a mix of curiosity and terror. "I am sorry, Your Majesty," stammered the mouse, backing away quickly. Leo let out a hearty but gentle laugh. "Don't worry, little one. I won't harm you," he reassured, his deep voice echoing through the trees. The mouse, named Max, nodded gratefully and scurried away, vowing to repay the lion's kindness one day. The chances for such gratitude seemed slim, however, as Max was so small and Leo so mighty. Meanwhile, not far from Leo's domain, a large bear named Bruno sat slumped against an ancient oak tree. Bruno cherished nothing more than a good nap, and his snores were the stuff of legend, often mistaken for thunder in the hearts of those not used to them. On this particular day, as Bruno dozed, the wind shifted, bringing the scent of something new and unusual. Curiosity piqued. Bruno opened one lazy eye, only to see Leo and Max in their unusual interaction. Smiling sleepily, Bruno watched the tiny mouse scamper away, and with the image fading, he drifted back into slumber, content in the harmony of the jungle. Several days later, Leo found himself ensnared in a rope trap laid by poachers. His roars shook the jungle, causing every creature to pause in their tracks. Frantic, Leo struggled, but the ropes only tightened. Just when hope seemed to ebb, tiny feet brushed the forest floor nearby. It was Max. The mouse had heard Leo's powerful roars and traced his way to the source. Seeing Leo caught, Max went to work, nibbling decisively at the ropes. Hours passed, but Max's determination never faltered, and finally, the ropes gave way. Leo was free. Grateful and astonished, Leo looked at Max with respect. "Thank you, Max. You've saved me," he said, overcoming the odds he never thought possible. Nearby, the upheaval had roused Bruno once more. Watching the scene unfold as part of his dreamlike state, Bruno chuckled softly. "Even the smallest of us can change the world," he mumbled sleepily, hugging the oak tree close and letting the melody of the jungle lull him back to sleep. And so, in the heart of the jungle, a new friendship blossomed, reminding all creatures of the strength found in unity and kindness. Despite their differences in size and strength, Leo, Max, and Bruno found something intangible and vital in each other: respect, trust, and an unshakable bond. Forged not only by circumstance but by choice, from that day forward, the jungle felt just a bit more connected, united by an act of bravery from the most unlikely of heroes.
In the underwater city of Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob SquarePants was cleaning his house with his usual enthusiasm when he came across an old photograph of himself grinning wide with his baby teeth showing. Reminiscing about the past, SpongeBob realized he had never lost his baby teeth, and thus had never been visited by the Tooth Fairy. His excitement grew as he imagined meeting such a legendary figure. Determined to experience the magic for himself, SpongeBob rushed out to the Krusty Krab to discuss his idea with his best friend Patrick Star. Patrick was lounging at the Krusty Krab, munching on a Krabby Patty, when SpongeBob burst in, explaining his plan to meet the Tooth Fairy by pulling out one of his baby teeth. Patrick, both intrigued and confused, readily agreed to help. The two friends plotted various ways to painlessly remove SpongeBob's tooth. They contemplated tying a string and attaching it to a jellyfishing net, but SpongeBob's flexible nature made it challenging. Eventually, Sandy Cheeks passed by and, intrigued by their antics, suggested the gentle method of wiggling the tooth naturally, which SpongeBob obliged to with new zeal. After a day of enthusiastic wiggling, SpongeBob's tooth was finally loose. That night, in his delightfully decorated pineapple home, he placed it under his pillow with giddiness. As he drifted into a deep ocean slumber, a faint sparkle shimmered above his bed. The Tooth Fairy, a small, iridescent fish with shimmering wings and a tiny crown, appeared from a swirl of sea bubbles. She inspected the environment, impressed by the colorful decor. Upon finding the shiny tooth under SpongeBob's pillow, she left a magical token, a glowing conch shell that played enchanting notes when held close. The next morning, SpongeBob awoke to find the luminous conch shell. Bubble-filled laughter echoed through the pineapple as he shared the treasure with Patrick. SpongeBob told the tale of his incredible encounter. The magic of meeting the Tooth Fairy sparked joy that flowed through all of Bikini Bottom. The story ignited the imagination of sea creatures who wondered if they, too, might meet the whimsical visitor someday. In the vibrant depths of the ocean, right beside Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob SquarePants faced an unexpected challenge. He had been invited by his friends, Sandy Cheeks and Patrick Star, to participate in the Oceanic Swimming Carnival, a renowned aquatic event celebrated yearly. Although SpongeBob had always been enthusiastic about trying new things, swimming competitively was entirely new to him. Sandy, ever the athlete, was prepared to dive in and show her skills, while Patrick, with his usual gung-ho attitude, was just excited about splashing around. SpongeBob, on the other hand, was a little apprehensive. He could certainly swim, but the thought of racing against fish and amphibious creatures filled him with a cocktail of excitement and nerves. The carnival day arrived, and the ocean was buzzing with anticipation. Various sea creatures had gathered, their vibrant colors shimmering under the sea light. The courses were marked with seaweed ribbons, and the audience was seated on coral bleachers. SpongeBob stood at the start of his heat, adjusting his swim cap, which oddly looked just like his usual square pants. As the whistle blew, competitors sprang into action with powerful strokes. SpongeBob flailed at first, his arms and legs moving chaotically. He glanced around, realizing how skilled and streamlined his fellow swimmers were. Then, he remembered Sandy's advice from the day before. Just go with the flow, SpongeBob. Relax and let your talents guide you. Taking a deep breath, SpongeBob started to relax. He pictured himself as a jellyfish floating effortlessly. His limbs moved in natural harmony with the water, his square form somehow gliding smoothly. As he found his rhythm, his confidence grew, and a wide smile spread across his face. SpongeBob didn't win that race, but his effort and spirit didn't go unnoticed. The crowd cheered loudly as he reached the finish line, and Sandy and Patrick were there waiting, proud of their friend's determination. SpongeBob realized that while competition was thrilling, the real joy lay in embracing new experiences and enjoying the journey alongside good friends. He might not have won the swimming medal, but he certainly earned a spot in everyone's heart for his enthusiasm and spirit.
Once upon a time, under the deep blue sea, in the lively town of Bikini Bottom, lived a cheerful yellow sea sponge named SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob worked at the Krusty Krab and loved going on adventures with his best friend, Patrick Star. One day, while flipping Krabby Patties, SpongeBob received a peculiar package. The package was from Sandy Cheeks, the intelligent squirrel who loved science and adventure just as much as SpongeBob. Inside the package was a shiny silver compass and a message that read, "Dear SpongeBob, I have invented a space rocket. Meet me at Jellyfish Fields. We are going on an adventure out of this world. Sandy." SpongeBob's eyes widened with excitement, and without wasting a second, he dashed to Patrick's rock house, waving the compass in the air. "Patrick, we've got to get to Jellyfish Fields. We're going to space," he exclaimed. Patrick, still half asleep, mumbled something about jelly beans, but quickly perked up when he heard the word space. Off they went, with their wide grins and boundless enthusiasm. At Jellyfish Fields, Sandy stood next to her gleaming rocket. "Welcome, space explorers," she cheered, handing them shiny silver suits and bubble-shaped helmets. The rocket, named Sea Explorer 1, was unlike anything they had ever seen. It had colorful fins, a big smiling face, and made cheerful pinging sounds as if it couldn't wait for the adventure. They boarded the rocket, with Sandy at the controls, SpongeBob as the excited crew, and Patrick as the snack officer in charge of space popcorn. With a loud whoosh, Sea Explorer 1 blasted off into space. Several star systems whizzed by, each glowing with vibrant colors. Once upon a time in the underwater city of Bikini Bottom, a sea sponge named SpongeBob SquarePants lived in a pineapple house. SpongeBob was an optimistic and cheerful sponge who worked at the Krusty Krab, a popular fast food restaurant famous for its delicious Krabby Patties. Every morning, SpongeBob would wake up with a big smile, don his iconic white chef's hat, and happily skip to work, humming his favorite jellyfishing song. At the Krusty Krab, the day's adventures would begin as Mr. Krabs, the owner of the restaurant, greeted SpongeBob with his booming voice, eager for another day of booming business. "Ahoy there, SpongeBob, ready to grill some Krabby Patties today." "Aye aye, Captain Krabs," SpongeBob exclaimed with glee, flipping his spatula with the skill of a seasoned pro. SpongeBob's best friend, Patrick Star, a simple yet lovable pink starfish, often hung out at the Krusty Krab, hoping to get some of those mouth-watering Krabby Patties. Meanwhile, hiding in the shadows was Plankton, the tiny but evil owner of the Chum Bucket, who constantly plotted to steal the secret Krabby Patty formula. On this special day, SpongeBob decided to try a new twist while cooking the usual Krabby Patties. As he mixed the ingredients with utmost precision, his imagination soared. What if, SpongeBob thought, I add a hint of jellyfish jelly to the sauce? He added a small dollop of purple jellyfish jelly and flipped the patties with extra care. As the patties sizzled on the grill, an enticing aroma filled the air, drawing curious customers from all over Bikini Bottom. Meanwhile, Plankton, peering through the window with his single eye, couldn't believe his luck. Eureka! A new recipe, he whispered to himself. Back inside, a wave of excitement swept through the restaurant as customers eagerly awaited the first taste of SpongeBob's new creation. Mr. Krabs rushed to the kitchen, dollar signs in his eyes. Boy, what have you done? This smells amazing. SpongeBob simply grinned and continued his culinary magic. Just as he was about to serve the Krabby Patties, chaos erupted. Plankton, disguised as an ordinary customer, crawled unnoticed toward the secret formula locked in the safe. But just when he thought he had succeeded, Patrick, in his usual forgetful manner, tripped over Plankton, sending him flying across the room. Nice try, Plankton, SpongeBob chuckled, quickly sealing the secret formula back in its rightful place. Finally, the patrons tasted the Krabby Patties with the jellyfish jelly twist.